Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, November 6th, 2023. Yep, November. And guess what? We did the stupid time change again. I know some people like it. I don't. I don't like getting home, from somewhere and it's dark at 5 o'clock. It just doesn't appeal to me, and it's only going to get worse as we move forward in the year. And of course, we reach the winter solstice, whatever that date is, and then it starts coming back the other way. But I just don't like it. Never been a fan of it, and I know it's. Um, I mean, it has its reasons in our history and all that sort of thing of why we did this time change stuff, but uh, the only advantage I see is in the fall slash winter time period is we get that extra hours of sleep. That's the only benefit that I can find in that. So um, I'm just saying I don't like it. I just don't like it. But then again, I don't like being cold. I don't like a lot of things, but we all deal with it, right? It's been a good week. It's been a good week. I know that I put out the last video on the torque box on the passenger side for Slither, and that went really well. Um, I had a lot of views on that and a lot of good feedback, which is always nice, and that's good. It went in as good as I expected it to. When I talk about test fitting and all those sort of things, that's where it pays off. You make sure things can fit as closely as possible before you do any final, welding. Now, with that said, I did the passenger side, and in the process, I kind of strained my back. And we all have these problems. I've had back issues off and on for years, and there's been times where I've had my back. I've been out twisted up under a car somewhere, and I feel something kind of get out of place, and I kind of can't move. So I end up laying down on a concrete and just waiting a few minutes until something goes back in place. I'm like, okay, I'm reset. I go again. Um, and I wanted to do the driver's side, but it wasn't happening. I knew I couldn't finish it. I did start on the driver's side the next day, and I found that, and I will have some of this in the next video sequence, I believe. I was doing some time lapse shots of the driver's side, and I found that I had to trim off a lot more material to make it fit up against the floor pan. Not unexpected. These pieces are not perfect for every vehicle. There's always modifications you have to make, and I had to do that. So the upper plate, I have it fitted, and I'll have to work on the forward plate or the bottom plate, however you want to call it, to get that up in place as well. So pretty happy with how that's fitting at the moment. I also pointed out in that previous video when I was comparing the driver's side of my Mach 1 to the new assembly on this side, there is a difference. And I pointed out the one on the original car on the driver's side kind of has what I say a joggle, because that's what it is, where it came over and it dipped around part of the floor pan. On the passenger side, it is straight. There is no variation there, so it made it much easier to put that together. So it is there. It is pronounced on the driver's side. So that is just something that happens. It's the way it's shaped. There's no way around it. Now the torque box, it follows most of that firewall, and then it kind of has a separation point. So I may end up tweaking it a little bit to try to make it fit better, but it'll be good. It'll all go back together just fine. So anyway, that's kind of a catch up as to where we're at with the current projects or current project. Um, let's see who's here tonight. And by all means, if you are new here, I have it set to anybody can be on the, make comments and whatever. I'll leave it like that unless something gets, out of whack and people start doing something stupid like we've had in the past. But if you're new here, I appreciate you being here, and I want you to join in, leave a comment. If you have a question, ask, and we'll try to answer that question. If I can't answer it, I have a great group of people over there in the chat box that are here every week, and they usually have some really great answers. So it's always good to share information and help each other out in building these cars. Let me see who's here first. First in tonight was Rick Gain. He was here early. He says, I don't like it being dark this early, and let's not be mean to cats this week. Okay. I'll make that deal. I won't be mean to cats. I'll just be mean to one cat. Dave Britton just dropping in to say hi. I have to go finish a concrete pour. Yeah, Dave, thank you for being here. I know he's up in the Great White North and dealing with cold temperatures and all that stuff, so it's, I'm sure, no fun to be pouring concrete at this point. Jerry is checking in from the Money Pit in Middle Tennessee. Good evening. Good evening from Middle Tennessee to all. Temp is 71 with 33% humidity. Thumbs up. Yes, it was really awesome today. I mean, it was just perfect weather. So glad you're here, Jerry. Terry Keithley, evening, Barry and all. Please hit the thumbs up and like button. Thank you kindly. Yes, thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. And Jerry also, Barry, I feel you angry back and knees. I know every day when my back and knees are angry, I'm still upright, breathing, and can make choices. Yes. Yeah, and it's becoming, the knees are becoming more of a problem. You know, I already have severe arthritis in my right ankle from an old injury when I was in the military. And of course, I did all the stupid stuff when I was in the Army, jumping out of planes and air assault and carrying tons of weight for miles and miles and miles. And you know what? It comes back to haunt you. So that's where I'm at this point. Terry Keithley, 71 temp in West Central Illinois. Jerry, go Buckeyes. And virtual hug. I know that's not for me. Thank you, Terry. Rick Stevenson, howdy, folks. Glad you're here, Rick. And we have to have the obligatory coffee sip when Rick shows up. Glad you're here, Rick. Ed Cucciarella. Hello, all. 72 here in SoCal. Yeah. But it's always nice weather there, isn't it? I believe it's always nice weather. I assume. But glad you're here. I'm gonna leave you, I don't know if I gave you a bell. Sorry. Brandy says, oh, wow. That's a different name. So Brandy Condalucci. How about that? Brandy Condalucci. I should get a bell for that. Glad you're here, Brandy. Mike in Flaherty, Kentucky. Hey, all. Hey, Mike. Glad you're here. Charles, so this says, like, click, subscribe, share, tell others, activate notifications, and participate. Ask questions, give answers. Don't be that lurker. There are no dumb questions, only missed opportunities. Thank you, Charles. Got a mustache hair or something that's bugging my nose. Robert, evening all. 80s here and sweating while cutting tile. Yeah. Sorry about that. And Robert says to Terry, Jerry's on a flight, so not great internet there. Okay. Rusty is checking in. Rusty's Restoration. Hello, everyone from Southern Indiana. Glad to hear Russ. Troy Justit, happy Monday, Barry and Barriettes. I hope all had a good week. The torque boxes look good. I hope mine go in as easy. I hope so too. You know, I've had some questions on that on the side. Some people had, even beyond the YouTube comments, they had asked me about the two-piece versus the welded together assembly, and just don't do it. Don't buy the welded together pieces. It is too difficult to get all that stuff in there, and it just doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather do it in separate pieces, make sure everything is welded the way it should be, everything is fitted the way it should be, and it's just a lot easier. I know I did ones in the, what was it? Was it Jade? I think it was Jade. I don't remember now. I also don't remember. One that I did years ago, I bought torque boxes that were welded together, and I just went ahead and drilled them apart. I didn't know when I bought the things. I didn't know there was be that difficult. So I drilled them apart and put them in, and they worked out fine. So, yeah, thank you, Troy. Dave Tyson, good evening, all. Good evening, Dave. It's our second Dave sighting. And Robert, yes, I hate the time change as well. It gets dark way too early now, making the roads more dangerous, etc. Yeah, it's really strange how much it affects that. I mean, just the we all obviously we know that we're getting the days are getting shorter, let's say, and the seasons change, and there's nothing we can do about that. But it is pretty remarkable when we do that time change, how dramatic it feels, because it is just it seems like a world of difference in just one day or 2 days of doing that time change. Um, I'll never be a fan of it. Troy, I don't like it. I don't like that it gets darker faster. I would prefer to have a little longer evening. I agree. And he says, when I become evil dictator of the universe, I'll change it. Okay, deal. Bob Shoemaker, evening all from Oklahoma, where everything is okay, right? 80s temp back again for 80s temp back again for a few days, and dark already outside sure puts the brakes on projects needing daylight. That is valid. Yes. Yep. Car guy Troy. Hello all from northern Utah. Glad you're here, Car guy Troy. Jerry is checking in. Hi Barry. Hi Barry. Howdy y'all. Can't chat long. I am working. I just want to say hi. Have a great stream. And Terry, go Buckeyes. Well, there you go. Jerry did check in. Awesome. Jerry from the Money Pit. Good evening. I already had you once, Jerry. But glad you're here. I don't know if I missed you or not. I don't think I did, but glad you're here. 68 Orange Crate. Greetings from Houston. Not a fan of the time change either. Yes. Yes. No good. Roger checking in. Greetings from next door. Glad you're here, Raj. And speaking of which, I mentioned this before. We're going to be going down to Moultrie, Georgia. Apparently, there's a big swap meet, maybe a car show. I don't know what all goes on down there. I know it's a swap meet primarily. That'll be the weekend of the 19th. So we're going to plan to get up early and drive to Moultrie, spend some time there, hopefully find something interesting, try not to get in trouble. So if anybody is planning to go to that, it'll be the 19th, which I believe is Sunday. Yeah, well, it will be Sunday, whatever that date is. Pretty sure it's the 19th. So we're going to be down there and wandering around and checking out the sites. I know they have two different events there. One is in the spring, summer, I guess, and the other one is in the fall. And I think they're trying to extend the one in the fall simply because of the weather conditions. I think the other one, they only do it for 2 days, I think. But anyway, if you plan on coming down there or being in that area, let us know or let me know, and maybe we can meet up. Nick Moss says hello. Hello, Nick. And I should point out, here's something else that I'm going to be working on. Nick, with his very cool car, has sent me some video clips and some other stuff to go. So here, this is Nick's car. He has sent me some instructional videos. He put a carbon fiber wing on the back of his car, and he was nice enough to film it. And I don't think this is the same. No, that's something else. Sorry, I just saw red. But he was nice enough to film that process and send those clips to me. So I'm going to try to make it into a video and put on the channel. And maybe somebody will like to see that and see how that happens. So thank you, Nick, for sending out stuff. Dave Conville is checking in. Evening all. That's our third Dave sighting tonight. And I know Dave liked my Corvette post that I put on Facebook. Jerry says, oh, and one more thing. I love it when it gets dark early, mostly because it annoys Robert. Okay. Anything to annoy Robert, I guess. Richard is checking in. Roar, he says. Glad you're here, Richard. And evening all. Ray Buckman. Hello, Barry and all. Beautiful 70s here today, but supposed to get cold again Thursday into Friday. I don't like being cold. Yeah, I don't like being cold at all. I appreciate people that like the cold weather. I'm not one of those. Nope. It's funny. My wife and I will go for a drive somewhere, and I can be, wearing. It's nice. It's decent weather, And my hands are like almost like ice cubes. I'll reach over and put my hand against her cheek or something. She's like, "Why are you so cold?" I said, "I don't know. I don't like it. I'd rather be warm. I don't want to be 100-degree temperatures. I'd rather be 80s, 70s, 80s is fine with me, just not cold. Not cold." Michael Paglerini, hello all. Once you hit 50, it's still easy to get down, but the getting up is a different story. Yes, that is accurate. That is accurate. What I'm finding right now, my knees. I try to describe this to my mom because she's a nurse, and when I kneel down, I get a burning sensation, which is always fun. That's my mind is telling me it's a burning sensation. I don't know how else to label it, but that's yeah, good times. Richard Vogel, hello Barry. I can sympathize with lower back issues. Back problems are not fun. Yes, very accurate. Richard, I'll be mean to them for him. Uh, what are we talking about there? Sorry, I don't know what were we talking about. I kind of missed it. Sorry, Robert. I missed out on the last swap meet of the year as Jerry hurt her back sitting on the jump seat on our way home the other day. Didn't want to go on my own. Yeah, sorry about that. Larry Bibby, hi all from Flyover, Nebraska. I can't make out what your thumbnail is. I'm assuming it's. I'm guessing dogs on a couch. I really can't tell. Lynn H. Hello from Western PA. Hey Lynn, how you doing? I don't know if you've been on here in a while, I don't think you have. Richard here in extreme northern New York, outside Drum. Bah humbug! It's cold. Hope that 80-degree weather makes the tile work more miserable. Yes, Drum. Yeah, that's why 10th Mountain is there. They just love being in the cold. Yeah. Rick Stevenson, torque boxes and Jade, and the convertible. Okay, yeah, yeah. But I'm thinking, I thought one of them was the two piece, and the other one, I'm thinking Jade was the one that was welded together. I think maybe I'm wrong, but thank you, Rick. Richard, I thought they voted to abolish the time change 2 years ago. Still waiting. Yeah, that's what the rumor is. That's what the rumor is. Todd DeBockler. Sorry, I wanted to say blocker again. Todd DeBockler. Uh, Brooklyn Pony Torque Box. You separated as did I. Okay, well, thank you, Todd. Glad you're here. Um, Richard says, "Cool, Nick." Oh, okay. Talking about the video. All right. Shannon Vaughn. Hi, everyone. I have a question about how you plan on filling the recessed areas where the top skin meets the quarters and windshield posts on the Cobra Drit. Thanks. Oh, okay. Well, there are a few things we've discussed on that. I know normally there would be a lead. The factory would have put some sort of lead in there, and then later on, they didn't use lead. They used some sort of other material. But it wasn't lead. So what I have done in the past, and I think Charles and I have discussed this some. I'll have to refresh my memory on it. But what I've done in the past is scuffed up that area really, really good and use short strand fiberglass and fill that in. I think Charles sent me a link to something else, and I can't remember exactly what it was at this point. However, that's what I've done in the past. Short strand fiberglass and fill in those areas. There's really, it's almost, I won't say impossible, but it's highly unlikely that anything can manipulate the body enough to cause something to come off. If you've ever dealt with a quality body filler, that stuff just doesn't come off very easily. I know people have used Bondo brand. I don't like Bondo brand. It's a throwaway body filler. It's meant for like doing Mako type of work. It's not good stuff. But if you're using a really good quality, polyester filler, then it bonds to the metal. It actually does, and you have to grind that stuff off. Same way with the short strand fiberglass. That stuff, once it gets attached to the metal, it's really hard to get it to come off. So once I do that, then I will sand that over and maybe even take it just a slightly down, just a little in that mid trough area, and then go over it with the Rage Ultra and fill that in and smooth that out. Now, again, there is, I think Charles had sent me a link to something else. I can't remember exactly, some other product. So that may be brought up into discussion, but that is typically what I use. So good question, and glad you're here. You get 2 bells. Lynn, I almost got the carbon fiber wing. I opted for the Shelby deck lid with quarter extensions. Okay, all right, nothing wrong with that. Nick says, when I kneel down, sparks fly out of my knees. Yeah, that's yeah. It's only getting worse as time goes on. I don't know when. I have a feeling that at some point I'm going to have to get some stuff replaced. I know, like, my mom has had both of her knees replaced. She's actually had 3 knee replacements. She wore out one of them, and she was doing nursing well into her 70s. So she ended up having 3 knee operations. My sister has had both of her knees replaced. In fact, my dad is going to get, he's 81. He is going to get apparently at least 1 knee replaced, which, 80 is a long time to wait for that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm hoping I can go a good while longer before I have to have something like that done. But it seems like that's a pretty common repair, let's say, anymore. So Nick has also sent me a couple of pictures of his car and spoiler. So there is the little spoiler or wing on the back of the deck lid, looking at it from the rear, obviously. And there's one kind of looking at it from the front. That's pretty cool. And it looks like it fits. I don't know if you had to trim that at all, Nick, but that fits the contour pretty well by what I can tell from these pictures. So awesome. Thank you, Nick. I'll go back up here. And Larry Bibby says, yes, those are my old puppies. Okay. That's kind of what I thought. It's either that or because the thumbnail's so small, I was thinking it was the what do they call it? The mutt truck or whatever from Dumb and Dumber. Just because I can only see so much of it. It's very tiny. So mutt cuts. It kind of looks like that because it's so small. I really couldn't tell, but my first guess was correct. So thank you. Let's see. Michael Pagliarini. Walking on concrete floor for almost 40 years now, get a good set of gel inserts for your boots will help with the knee pain. That is a great idea. And speaking of that, when I'm not out here, or when I'm in the house or anything like that, or if I go somewhere, I only wear Hokas. If we go somewhere, I don't care if we're dressing up to go out with friends or to eat. I don't care. I'm going to wear my Hokas. People don't like it. Too bad. I'm not wearing flat-soled, uncomfortable shoes anymore. I put my Hoka, sneakers on, and then I also have what is it? UFA. I think it's UFA, because the doctor told me to get this stuff. UFA, like sandals. So they're not Crocs, but they're similar. But yeah, I always have some sort of padding on my feet. So thank you for that. Richard, why did you purchase the 2-piece? Oh, who did you purchase the 2-piece torque boxes from? Actually, Charles bought them, and the sticker said CJ Classic. I believe it says CJ Classic on them. Dynacorn sells them, and I'm sure those were actually Dynacorn pieces because they have the silver coating on them. but the labeling said CJ. So that's probably one of the few pieces that Dynacorn makes that CJ sells as one of their own, as opposed to the other panels that they say are Dynacorn, but they just put their CJ sticker on it and tell you that it's Dynacorn when it's really not. So that was that would be my opinion, is they're actually Dynacorn but sold through CJ. Let's see, Charles. Here we go. We were talking about. Okay, I know what he's saying. This is patch weld with sheet metal strips. That's what he's trying to say. Glad you're here, Charles. That was what we talked about. He'd asked me about doing this filler on the roof, and Charles had sent me a pictures or video of some sort where another builder had actually made filler strips and welded them in. So that's what we're going to do. I won't be using the short strand fiberglass in this case, although I've used it before. We're gonna make filler strips and weld them in to take up that gap, make it all solid, and then use the Rage Ultra on top of that. So thank you for refreshing me, Charles. Richard, my back has been pinching a nerve. It caused me phantom pains in my leg that feel like burning instead of normal pain, knee and hip. Yes. Let me tell you this. I know we're getting on a little on the health and welfare subjects, right? I have visited a chiropractor many times, and he has helped me many times. My wife has also been helped by the chiropractor, so I don't know if you've pursued that at all. However, my wife was having problems that the chiropractor wasn't really able to get fixed, and we did a little research, and I ended up buying her an incline table. So one of those things you hook your feet in and kind of go up at an angle. And I can tell you this, it has helped her and it has helped me, because I can be uncomfortable, get on that table, hang there for just a few minutes, you don't do it long, and I can actually feel something in my back kind of like reset and get back in place. I can get off of that thing and I feel much better. So just my opinion on that. But I understand where you're coming from. She had it really bad. She had a sciatic nerve or whatever, and she uses that thing, and it has straightened her out. She was to the point where she was using these crazy pillow configurations to try to sleep and get her legs up and all this stuff that she had attempted to help her, and it didn't help, but that table is what made a difference. Lost 2-1. Hello, everyone. Hello, Lost. Glad you're here. Rick, as I said in a video comment, do you think Dynacorn has people watching hoping to learn from your videos? I doubt it. I doubt it. They already have an established product. I don't think they're worried about improving anything. They know there's a demand for their product, so I really doubt they're concerned with what anybody else is doing at this point. But it would be nice, if they were trying to follow up with some things, but I just doubt it. But I did see that comment. Tim Miller, putting another log on a fire and go change tire. Okay. Tim, I don't remember that name before. But glad you're here. Todd, Spectra Premium is the torque boxes I used, one piece. Yeah. I think that's what I had for whichever one or both. It might have been Spectra, but I know I had to take them apart because they wouldn't just go in. Terry Keithley, on the 46, I've been using Evercoat short strand fiberglass, $150 per gallon. Yeah, that stuff, everything's going up. They're taking advantage of us where they can and raising these prices. Speaking of which, do me a favor. Don't go to McDonald's anymore. Just saying. Just saying. I don't know if you've been keeping... I mean, we shouldn't be eating at McDonald's anyway, but if you haven't seen, they made like $6 billion last year or something. And they keep jacking up their prices. I saw a video where somebody had paid up in New England area. They wanted $18 for a Big Mac combo meal. No, not a large fry, not a large drink. a stinking Big Mac, a medium fry, and a medium drink for $18. Don't go there anymore. Just my opinion. They shouldn't be raising prices on that crappy food. That's all it is. Anyway, let me get off my rant. Charles is saying, asking Terry, okay, how many layers to fill? Faith Followers Customs. Anyone ever used all metal or metal to metal filler in sail panels? I don't know. I think I had some of that stuff. I think Robert might have used it. I can't remember exactly, but the that stuff is good. That is good. Good. It's a good product. I may actually have some of that somewhere, but it does. It works good. Nick says he did not trim his spoiler or wing, however you want to label it. Yeah, it fits really well. That's a nice piece. Very nice piece. Let's see. Richard. I am sure I tried all metal once and did not like it one bit. Okay. Dave Conville, perhaps you try some New Balance sneakers and knee socks. You sound like somebody who know, Dave. If it works for you, I'll give it a shot. Car Guy Troy, don't knock the Crocs, dude. The ones with the fur linings are choice. Way comfortable. Okay. I have nothing against Crocs. Don't get me wrong on that. I do have a problem where people... I happened to be at a yard sale in the neighborhood, and I looked, and they were selling worn, used Crocs, right? Used Crocs. They wanted $20 a pair for those things, with the bottoms worn smooth. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Who would pay $20 for a pair of worn out Crocs? But the price on those has gone up too. Oh, okay. One more thing. I think I mentioned this before, but I'm going to bring it up since we brought up Crocs. There is a movie. I can't. Now I got to think of the name of it. It was. Oh, never mind. I'll come back to it. I have to think of what the movie is. It was Idiocracy. Yes, Idiocracy. I don't know if anybody has seen Idiocracy. It is like a movie to the future, and it is so telling as to how we are, what they're seeing us become as a society. But anyway, when they were making that movie, this is just some trivia for you. They were looking for futuristic, ugly shoes for people to wear in that movie because they were like, we just want it to look different, right? So this new company had come out with these kind of ugly shoes, and that company was Crocs. So in that movie, they said, yeah, get those shoes. Those look ridiculous. Nobody will ever buy those. And that's why those were in that. That was the first time anybody had seen those shoes was in that movie. And lo and behold, they turned into a big seller. So there's your history lesson on Crocs, at least from what I've read. Ray Buckman, have you considered knee pads? I saw on your last video you were on cardboard. I actually have a padded rectangle thing that I kneel on. I have some knee pads, and I tend to forget that I have them. I actually have like 2 sets of those things, and it's not the outer parts of the knee; it's the internal part of the knee. That's what's killing me. Contact isn't really being an issue. It's the knee itself, the internal, is what's bothering me the most. But good idea. Robert, I'm all for welding up the leaded joints, but it was more work than I wanted to do on this car. I used Duraglass, which is just another short strand filler. It holds on to the steel really well. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Richard says, Charles, that's the best method I've seen. I assume he's talking about putting in the metal strips. Richard, yes, do not care what anyone says. Traction or incline table helps. Yes. And it was funny, the chiropractor was against it. When my wife told him about it, he's like, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Let me tell you, It makes a difference. Nick, I was going to say I welded mine in with patch metal, then short strand, and the body guys went over that with rage, both tempered and product. Okay. Tempered rage. That sounds like a. You know what? That sounds like a good name for a coffee. Today we're drinking tempered rage. I have thought about that. How hard would it be to just start throwing coffee in a bag and call it some name and sell it, right? I know people do it all the time. Oh, wait, Tim Miller says, try videos on therapy on them. Yes, that's a good idea. Thank you for that. Richard, I went into Wendy's for the first time in 20-ish years. They wanted almost $5 for a medium fry. I saw that and left and came home and cooked. Yeah, Wendy's is kind of my go-to for like fast food stuff. But what I do is I get their like biggie bag, whatever the $5 thing is, you know, and what the little secret to that is you can order the biggie bag and upsize the fries and the drink for like not even $1 or something like $1. You get both of them can both be upsized. So just keep that in mind. Ray Buckman, way ahead of you on the McDonald's. I stopped eating there when I heard about the sawdust in their chicken as a flavor enhancer. If you work around wood, you can actually taste it. Yeah, I just won't do. I won't do McDonald's anymore. Nick, is that your crickets or mine? Sounds like they're in my room. Little turds have been trying to move on my couch. I don't know where they're coming from. It must be yours. It must be yours. Well, I don't know what you're hearing. Do you hear crickets? I don't hear anything. All I hear is a constant tinnitus in my ear. In my ears, I should say. Jerry says, I'm cleaning my 2009 Shelby Cobra GT500 for the next show. For 2024, going for second class championship. Awesome. That'd be nice. Good luck with that, Jerry. Dave Conville, I'm not admitting to anything. Yeah, I know. You have the Corvette outfit. Charles says, crickets in your head. Yeah. Well. Okay, so Roger says there are crickets, Nick, I think. I don't hear anything. I actually have my heater running. Let me turn that off a second. Nope, just a tinnitus. Just a constant ring 24/7. That's all I have. Both ears. Yeah. Terry, Charles, no more than 2 to 3 coats of Evercoat. I also had a cup full of resin, too. Okay. Nick says Charles needs some ears checked. They're dancing a jig in Barry's shop, I think. I don't know. I don't know what you're hearing, but I don't hear it. Richard Vogel, have you tried Uflexa or Gel 1 injections for your knees? I had meniscus surgery and wound up with osteoarthritis. The injections helped me quite a bit. I haven't gotten to that point yet. The VA has given me some sort of mystery lotion stuff that I put on, but I don't want to put it on frequently. I don't want to get like used to it. I want to have it for when I really need it. But I have not gotten to that point just yet. And having an injection in the knee just does not sound appealing to me. But if it is what it is. Dave Conville, okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one who hears the crickets. I don't have crickets. There's no crickets in here. Nick says, yeah, y'all will get a name Barry's Coffee. Yeah. And Nick, I have headphones in, dude. Charles might be right. Never mind, you're deaf. Charles, I think the caliber of help at fast food, it just doesn't taste good anymore. Yeah, yeah, that's a lot of it. Okay, Bray Buckman, I hear no crickets. My right ear is all but toast and no crickets. Richard, I hear no crickets over the stream. So Nick, you have squatters. Dave Conville, there seriously is some sort of feedback that comes and goes like a cricket or a cicada. It's not. I don't hear it. I don't hear it. Troy dressed it like you, Barry. I only hear the ringing in my ears. Yep, 24/7. Yeah, it's fun. Thanks, Uncle Sam. Firing off those mortars. Yeah, that left me with permanent tinnitus. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so Lost Two says sounds like a bit like leaking air. Okay, let me move the mic. Let me move the mic a little bit. I can tell you that. What is that? Did you hear that? Sounded like somebody fired up a V8. I could tell you that I can hear the fan from my laptop. So let me just see if I can't. No, I probably can't block that. I'll block it a little bit. Okay. Nick says, "Do they literally stop when you went silent? Maybe it's your knees." Okay. Dave Tyson, it is your knees. Terry Keithley, they're coming in loud and clear. Charles says, Nick, yes, I hear them too. Also hear tinnitus loud and clear, both ears. Yeah. And Robert, your crickets are talking to the ringing in my ears. Okay. Okay. Robert, McDonald's used to be my go-to cheap lunch, $1 drink and $1 large fries, but they went away. So yeah, yeah. I don't know what fired up. Somebody's got some V8 something out there running. I think. Larry Baby, yeah, I think most of us have ringing in the ears. Yeah. And Shannon Vaughn could be a UFO. That's a possibility. And Roger says something just fired up outside and it's loud. Yeah, I don't know what that is. And it's just idling, whatever it is right now. I can hear it idling. Charles, it's a dead ringer for multiple crickets. Okay. And Nick says, aha. Okay. Um, Richard, I assure you there's no background noise coming through the stream. I have a Creative 5.1 surround sound speaker with a bass. Okay, well then. Richard's tinnitus is so annoying. I have it in both ears as well. Yeah. I've tried a lot of different things to alleviate some of that. Troy, not hearing anything here. Nada on the cricket sounds fine. All right. And Jerry says there is crickets and they stop when you talk. Well, so I have to. There's no crickets. That much I can tell you. There's no crickets. There's none here. But we'll just have some coffee anyway. Terry Keithley says Brandon. Yeah, that's who's doing it. Ray Buckman. Okay, question. I had one. Your last video. Do you have a storyboard of parts of the Slither project that need to be addressed, like weeks this, install that kind of thing? Not really. I know that when we are going through the process, and I know that there are times where I started with the basic floor pan, added pieces and parts, right? So as you're creating the car from these pieces and parts, it kind of self dictates where you have to go with it. Now, we did switch directions a little bit because we had a situation with some fitment stuff in the back and wanting to add some paint material to the inside of the quarter panels So we kind of just switched gears from the back of the car to come back to the front and put all that together. So I guess in a sense, there is a running process that there are uh, a cache of parts, right? So I've got sheet metal parts, I've got suspension parts, I've got all these pieces that need to go onto the body. So as I totally, as I completely, let's say as I keep on adding parts, I don't know where I got totally from. As I keep on adding parts and that cache of parts gets smaller and smaller, that kind of just dictates what needs to be done. Now, there are going to be certain pieces. So as an example, um, if I pan over here, the brackets that go up here. Well, you can't put those on until you have the cowl in place, and you can't put the upper cowl until you have the lower cowl, and you can't put the lower cowl until you have the firewall, and you can't, all that stuff piles up and becomes part of the assembly. Same way with this piece, the apron, you can't put that piece on until you have the apron in place, which attaches to, it's like the knee bone, foot bone connects to the ankle bone, whatever. All these pieces have to stack up on each other. Now, some of the other pieces, like here, there's going to be a little bracket that attaches to the A pillar, and that acts as the mount point for the front fender. So something like that, I can't put that on yet. I can't say this is going to fit exactly right here because I don't know. So what I have to do is work the parts, get everything in place, and work the pieces that all correlate to each other, as an assembly. So when it comes to that little bracket, something like that, I will more than likely bolt to the fender itself later. So let's say I get everything on, I get the doors mounted, the hinges are good, and I fit that fender, and then I will index the fender where it's supposed to be, right? Fore and aft, based on the door gap. Once I have that established, I can either then, which I will have to, remove the door, and I can take that little bracket and put it up against the fender, but I want to leave a gap. So whenever you think about it, like that bracket, when it's up against the fender, you have the thickness of the nut plate that is there. You have to allow for that. And you may want to allow for possibly a shim, just in case you do need to move it fore and aft a little. So you want to make that bracket kind of not perfect. You want to leave a little bit of a space so you can adjust it later, that kind of thing. So again, as the pieces add on and the list gets smaller of what needs to be put on, that's just the way I look at it. I don't have I don't have anything written down in the process. I've done so many things to so many cars, and granted, this is the first Mach 1. Well, I take that back. This is technically the first Mach 1 that I've done here, but I did do another a fastback sports roof at the old body shop. So if you look back in the videos, there's a 1970 Mustang that I did probably, I don't know how many, 10 years ago, whatever it was. Probably more than that. Yeah, about probably 10 years ago. So I did that car. So I do have an understanding of how this is put together. But that's kind of how I process things. What I look at it and I go, what needs to be in place for this next piece to fit? And make sure I have all of that there before I weld anything. That's why I stress the test fitting and all that stuff to make sure that it's where it needs to be before I put the hot glue gun to it, right? So good question though. Hope that answered your question. I didn't want mean to drag it out, but that was a good question. Richard says, "Let's go Crickets." I mean Brandon. Yeah. Bob, it seemed to change when the mic was moved. Well, I hope so. I mean, it's off to my left now instead of being in line with could be the fan. I don't know. Larry Bibby, my 33-year-old son, Gary likes your coffee cup. Well, I like my coffee cup too. a friend of mine gave me this coffee cup, and that's my official coffee cup for Monday nights. Now, occasionally I do add a Joe Daddy or a 10th Mountain cup, but yeah, I'm glad he likes it. Ray, weld this, install that. Sorry, autocorrect, and I'm learning to fix those errors. Yeah. Nick, I totally hijacked your stream with the crickets. Sorry about that. Oh, it's not a big deal. Charles, storyboard is a work in progress. Sometimes the car agrees with us, and sometimes it says not now. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Terry, Betty said if you had cats, you wouldn't have crickets. I don't have crickets. You're all hearing stuff. Troy, I'm curious as to what you and Charles have decided for the rear end of Slither. 9-inch with leaf springs or 4-link. I'm following Robert on his 8.8 Explorer diff. Yeah, Charles has a plan for that, and we're still kind of hashing out some of that. It'll be a 9-inch. I know we're looking at the Curry setup for the housing, but he's looking at another product line for the actual mount design. And I think the company that's making it is still in a process of developing or building the assembly. Let's say they already have it for the earlier cars, I think, but I think they're working out the details for this model. Troy says I want to do that with my 65. I'm not sure what that means, but okay. Oh, you're talking about the 8.8. Sorry, I see it now. So you want to do the 8.8? Yeah, I get you. Yeah, that's a good. It's a good thing to add in. Robert, I did go to a search on cheap 4-link kits. Not in the budget though. There is a cheap one that you have move the shock mounts on on that was what? There is a cheap one that you have to move the shock mounts on that was interested in. Jigged wrong, hence cheap. Okay. So you're saying that there's a cheap version, but you have to move the shock mounts, and this is the one that you were interested in. Okay. I got you. Doyle, do you grind down all plug welds or just the ones that are needed or visible? Yes. I I grind down anything that's going to be visible, exposed, right? But I also have a tendency to grind down even the ones that are hidden, partly because I want to verify that I have a full weld. You know, sometimes you can weld something and you feel like it's all there, but you may have a little pocket or something, and I may go back and touch that up. Um, so, but I try to stop myself from grinding everything, but I have this like OCD thing where I really like things to be smooth and look good. Um, so sometimes I get a little carried away with the grinding. Troy, I'm leaving leaf springs in mine, but I want to use the 8.8. Yep, that's a good plan. Lout, I'm guessing Lout Burns. You do great work. Thanks for all the great examples. Well, thank you, Lout. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Let's see. Robert says to Troy, I won't be doing the forlick on this car. Maybe next time. Okay. Richard, I'm impressed with your Arc Captain welder. Do you like it more than your Lincoln? That's a good question. I've had several people ask me about the Arc Captain, and I'll say this: I am impressed with the Arc Captain. Now, in some aspects, yes, it's better than my Lincoln. In some aspects, it's better than the Art or the Yes Welder 205 that I have. Okay, because I did a video on the MiG 205 for Yes Welder. Yes Welder makes some great welders, but to me, the better ones on their brand are the higher end ones. I mean, the much more expensive ones. The MiG 205 is okay; it does a good job, but it's complicated. Like their button system is all, it might as well be hieroglyphics. When you start looking at what they're trying to tell you to do, half of it doesn't make sense, and at least not to me. So it's probably a decent machine as well, but it's harder to get it to do what you want. The Arc Captain, whenever I use it, and I just program the thickness of the wire. I make sure it's on argon CO2, and I can hit the synchronous button, and once I do that, then it's just a matter of tuning the amps a little bit. So if I'm hitting, um, let's say I want to burn in on the thicker plates for the torque boxes, I may just tweak the amps up to like I think the number is like 17, and man, it's it's like butter. So if I go to a lighter wire, instead of 30, I use the 025. I may bump the amps down to like just under 15, maybe 14 and a half to 15, and it still welds fantastic. So I have no complaints on the Arc Captain. The function of it, the ease of use is great. Now, the Lincoln is also a great welder. It really is. I mean, when you think about name brands, Miller, Lincoln, let's say Hobart, whatever, everybody puts Miller up on the top, I think. Everybody says Miller is where it's at. And they are. They're incredible welding machines. Lincoln, everybody looks at that as like the little brother to Miller, let's say, maybe not as high as maybe a Hobart, whatever. But they're great machines. They chug away. They get what you want done. You don't have to worry about pushing a lot of buttons. You basically calibrate your wire speed and your amps and adjust from there. If you need to change something, you change it. Everybody talks about how do you weld this or how do you weld that? Or I had a conversation with a guy who was a lifelong welder, and we were discussing some things, and he said, the biggest thing is this, or the biggest thing is, that. And I looked at him and I said, well, to me, a lot of it comes down to what your skill set is. So whenever you're welding something, if I'm welding something with experience, I can tell you that I can start to weld and I can fill a gap. I could probably fill a 1/2 inch gap with sheet metal, because I've done so much sheet metal work. So I may actually build a bridge a 1/2 inch across and just start piling little spot welds on it until I can build it completely together. A lot of people can't do that. They don't understand what they're looking at. They think if you just keep adding wire to it, it'll eventually fill up, right? But it's not like that. You have to sit there and understand what's happening, or what you see with the welding, the wire and the base metal, as to how they're working together. So again, the Arc Captain takes some of the guesswork out of that. The Lincoln, you have to be a little more in tune with the machine and what happens whenever you increase the wire speed or you increase the amperage a little bit like that. So I like them all. I have been using the Arc Captain quite a bit, and I'll probably continue to use the Arc Captain. In fact, they've asked me to do another video. Arc Captain has contacted me again and want me to do kind of a more specific video showing perhaps the spot welding feature on it, stuff like that, more specifically. So that may be coming in the future. I don't know just yet. And while I'm thinking about it, not to get off track, not to get too far down the road, but I have something else I want to mention. Since I had, you probably saw the video that I did for Top Dawn, and that was that scan tool, right? And they asked me to share something, right? They liked my video, but I don't know if they were expecting a lot more views to come out of that. Now, I'm not asking you to go watch that video. That's not what I'm doing. But what they wanted me to point out, that they're having a Black Friday sale, November 20, let's see, up on November 24th. We have a huge discount on AdPro. It's only $379. I don't know if you saw that thing. It's not a cheap tool. $379 from November 20th to November 26th. And they asked me, would you consider taking a video on the 20th, mentioning on the 20th, and mentioning our product. So just to give you some, there's going to be a discount on that thing coming up. Just some information there. I wanted to share that because they're nice enough to give me that tool for making a video, and I want to help them obviously sell their product. So I'll continue on. Robert says multitasking and failing at both. Oh, he's trying to do the tile and answer the question. So that's what's happening. Nick, have you seen the new third member for 9-inch housing that uses 8.8 architecture? It's basically supposed to be quieter and less parasitic losses. I have not. Ron Walker says hello. Hello, Ron. Glad you're here. Randall, hey from Mountain Green. Wish I had seen your TorqueBox video before I did mine a year or so ago. Well, yeah, I have two other. I have the TorqueBox videos on the Brooklyn Pony and on Jade. So this one just happened to be the most common. But yeah, Randall, I did want to thank you. I know that you support me on Patreon, and some adjustments were made, and I do appreciate you staying with me and helping me out on that. So just wanted to give you a shout out for that. Harvey says, hello, Barry. Happy Monday from New Jersey. Been enjoying your slither videos. Your Arc Captain motor looks to be working very well, or it's just the operator. Well, it's a little of both, more than likely. I mean, it's a great machine. It's doing what I need it to do. But I like it. I do. I honestly like it. I wouldn't be using it if I didn't like it. I can tell you that. Sorry. Clark says, Nick, I bought the Explorer rear because it was cheap, $400 cheap. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. Glad you're here, Clark. Save the neck for you. Rusty, have any opinions on our Captain Plasma Cutter? I looked online and had a 50 amp, very reasonable. You know, I have not pursued the plasma cutter. I think they contacted me and asked me if I needed or wanted one. I also had another company, I don't even know what they were, something on Amazon. Because I get all these collaboration things. They want me to do videos on just dumb stuff. But I had somebody offer me another plasma cutter, and I was like, you know what? I already have a plasma cutter. I don't need a bench full of these things. Now, with that said, if Yes Water wanted to send me a plasma cutter, I would probably do a video on that. I am content with the one I have from Yes Water. It does exactly what I need it to do. I have no complaints on that one either. So that's all I can tell you. If you're interested in the Arc Captain version, I think you can still use my discount link from the Arc Captain. I put it in the latest videos. There's a link in the bottom there in the description. So that should apply to that as well if you're interested. Charles says, looked a very long time to find a system I liked. Talking about the rear end, I wanted a very adjustable parallel 4-link mounted inboard of the frame and rear mount coilovers with double adjustable shocks. And he also says the centering method was a hanging point. Most wanted a modified gas tank to work. I found a company that has a hybrid Watts Link panhard bar. It's available for late model Mustangs soon for the 69. So there's your answer on the differential rear end for Slither. Terry says, for Christmas, I'm sending you a case of gobs. That's for hooking me up to Arc Captain. Thank you, Terry. Yeah, it's a great machine. It really is. Okay, so Clark and Nick are going back and forth a little bit. That was Charles talking about the differential. Let's see, Gamer Freak, maybe? Game Freak. How about that? Game Freak. Okay, that's my interpretation. Howdy, Barry and Chat. Been enjoying the Slither videos, loving my Harbor Freight titanium flux. Been able to weld everything from 1/4 to 20 gauge with flux core. The Arc Captain looks good, though. Yes, thank you. It is a very good machine. Jefferson, top dog. Late to the show, but let's rip some gears. Awesome. Glad you're here, Jefferson. Robert says the 8.8 gears have the pinion lower down on the ring gear, basically copying the GM rear gears. The 9-inch is up higher, which has more friction but is stronger. Okay, well, that's a valid explanation of the differences. So thank you, Robert, for that. Let me see here. Richard, I would have to see that video now, Nick. Not sure what they're trying to improve with the 8.8 tech since the 9-inch was used for the last 50 years. And it's set right there, quiet and far superior to most. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to go wrong with the 9-inch. I mean, you figure, uh, NASCAR has been using the 9-inch since what, the 60s, basically. I mean, it's a pretty bulletproof rear end when it comes down to it. I know that we look at the variations like GM having the C clips, and if you want to pull the axles out, you got to pull the cover and do this and do that, get the C clips out of the way, and then pull the things out. I think Ford did a really good job with the bolt-in axles. I've always, I guess when I was younger, I always kind of like stressed over that. I'm thinking, what's keeping that from flying out of there? But I guess the design works. You don't see, I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but you don't see an axle and a wheel coming out very often. And it's a very, very well built, tough rear end. I know that Don from Don's Manufacturer, I don't think he's here tonight. Maybe I don't remember seeing him. He had bought a rear end from Speedway, I believe. I forget what the gear ratio was, but with that, I'm considering also doing the same thing. The rear end that is in Jade right now is a very old casting. I know that I think that if they have an N, it's for the nodular casting. The one I have, I believe, is a W, and it was okay for its time period, but apparently they aren't as strong as the later ones. So I am actually considering getting a one from Speedway and putting it in Jade, and probably do a limited slip and stay with the same ratio that I have right now, which is a 300. I'm not worried about being able to do a burnout or anything like that. It's just a driver car at this point. So I am looking at considering the Speedway uh, 300 gear ratio. Okay, so Nick, FN988 by Gear Vendors. I mean, I'm not interested. I just was saying that they did it for whatever reason. Okay, talking about a video of some. Okay. Richard says, I worked for Ford for the 8.8 and the 8.8 is a nightmare. Well, at least the setup from factory had problems. Oh, okay. Robert, I have seen more Fords lose axles than C-clip rears. The bolt-in bearings on some were ball bearings and a little wear, and that axle went sliding out. Okay. Nick, and it's like 2,500, so no thanks. I'd rather have a aluminum 9-inch for that price. And Charles, War case, it's not bad for moderate power. Yeah, and the thing, it's fine for this car. I do have a bit of a howl, let's say, in the rear end. I don't like that. I could probably I tried to, set it up myself, and I don't have a lot of experience with that. I got it together and it operates. That's fine. But it's also a peg leg. I would like to have a limited slip in there. So I'm thinking with the Speedway setup, it's already built. It's put together. It's, should be assembled, ready to go, bolted in, put the axles back in, put grease in it, and you're done. That's kind of where I'm at on that one. Isaac, late to the party. Mondays are tough for me. Hope all is well with you and everyone. I only caught part of the crickets. Maybe cicadas. That's what my tinnitus reminds me of. But anyway, hello. Glad you're here, Isaac. Dave Tyson, 9-inch is like small block Chevy, all kinds of parts. That is true. That is true. Okay, so again, I'm working on getting the driver's side torque box in place. And you probably saw what I did. I mentioned it about taking and stripping out the the EDP coating. So I need to finish doing that up here on the frame rail, inside and out. And there's some more grinding that needs to happen on the inside. I want to knock down the plug welds. I want to smooth those up quite a bit. Um, and I think Charles sent me a message that he did find a transmission, so that'll be working its way up here. We're going to do a test fit uh, with the transmission, and I think he also has a plastic engine block that we can mock it up to. So we'll have to figure out the engine mounts and get all that put together and set down in there. We're getting to a point, honestly, where this really may not need to be on the jig much longer. I mean, it's really getting to that point. I mean, everything is zeroed out where it needs to be. I was thinking about this the other day. You know, the frame connectors, um, they can go in on the jig or off of the jig. It's not going to make probably that much of a difference. Um, I was looking at it like, would it make more sense to put it on the lift and get underneath there with the frame connectors and get those married up, you know, get them fitting nice. Um, and the reality too is I can take I've got some uh, lift jacks that I can put underneath. So if I were to put the car on the lift and just put pressure on the front and rear, kind of balance everything out, make sure that it's not, I don't expect it to sag at all. There's no reason why any of this would sag, but I was thinking about doing that just because I could come up underneath it a lot easier than to be going in and out underneath the jig. So, yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. Or I also have that body cart that I could put this on and probably get the same results. It would get it up higher than what it is now and not have the the exterior of the frame jig that I have right now. So, yeah, that's a consideration I'm looking at in trying to make it all come together. Charles, could you lift the car on the jig? You know, honestly, I probably could. Well, maybe. I've got the axle in the way. The axle for the trailer. I'd have to drop the axle out from under it, which I could do that. I really could. Um, I'd have to worry about I don't know. I'll look at that. That's a thought. I may look at that. Um, oh, okay. Nick, you just need louder exhaust and that howl will go away. Yeah. Charles 90s was standard on Pro Stock, Funny Cars, Top Fuel, Pro Mods, the list goes on. Yeah, they've used them in just about everything. And Richard, yep, up until Strange and Willwood. Oh, talking to Charles. Yeah, I'd looked at that idea of putting the car up on the lift with I mean, it would lift it. I know it would lift it. I just have to see if I can get the arms in the right places because the axle, like I said, the axle's in the way. So, Nick says, I don't know if Barry is that strong. Yeah, that's strong. He just got done complaining about his knees. Yes. I could not lift the car up on the jig. You are correct. You are correct, Nick. But yeah, like I said, the list is getting smaller. The next thing I want to do, like, I'll finish up this front torque box on the driver's side, and then I need to finish getting in the stuff in the back. So I may end up going and turn this around, and I get the rear seat support. I have to get that in place. I have to get the quarter panels in place, and I have to get the uh, filler panel between the deck lid and the back glass. Get all that in place. So there's still a lot of things I can do prior to getting on the frame connectors. But yeah, at this point, the challenge would be, you know, rolling underneath this thing multiple times, and I can do that. You know, if that's what it comes to, I can do that. Game Freak, knees, back, and eyes just need daylight savings to go back so I can see what the heck I'm cutting on. Yes. Clark Clifford Barry could throw this football over that mountain. Yes. Napoleon Dynamite. What a movie. Okay. I think I'm getting to the point where I've got to call tonight. I can feel my voice getting rough again. And what gets rough, it's just not, it's not good. Nick says he's still got the old hand cannon. Yeah. Anyway, so things are looking good, making good progress on the car. And I think I know I mentioned in my Patreon video that the other quarter panel is coming. So I'd ordered 3 quarter panels for 2 for my Mach 1 and 1 to replace the driver's side quarter on Slither, because we're going to use the Dynacorn instead of the NPD panel. But they only sent me 2. So the other left quarter panel is on its way. It'll be here Wednesday. So I'll get that in, and pretty happy to have, you know, all those pieces together. So anyway, that'll be it for tonight. I do appreciate everybody being here and following along, and, you know, thumbs up and comments and everything on the videos is very, very helpful. The last video has gotten a lot more views than previous videos, so I appreciate all the support there. And that'll be it for tonight. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.